Thank you very much. Hello, my name's Dawn Hallybone. I'm the ICT coordinator and senior teacher at Oakdale Junior School. My first slide kind of sums it up, what difference a year makes. This time last year I was sat where you were sitting, listening to other people and what they'd been doing in school. And at the time, we'd had 13 intended yes consoles in the classroom, which we'd used on a trial period for 6 weeks. And I spoke about it on the second day of the conference. But I'm here today to tell you the kind of change that it's had to my teaching in the past year. Last May, I hadn't had a Nintendo DS. Christmas, I had my first Wii, and my life has changed since. So why do you play games? And I'm going to open it up to the audience. So can some people tell me, why do you play games? Any takers? Otherwise, I'm going to pick on people. Dave, why do you play games? Excellent. James from Oxford, why do you play games? See, it's handy being on Twitter.
What, in the classroom or
just why do you play games?
Engagement.
Excellent. Anybody else want to tell us why you play games if you play games? Exactly. I asked my children why they play games, and I used a tool called Wordle.net, and I asked them all to go up and tell me why they play games. And you can see why the children enjoy playing games. They find it fun, they find it exciting, they find it challenging. Slightly worried about the one child that thought he was God. But, you know, it gives you a sense of being God. You know, you engage in your own worlds. So we use games a lot in the classroom. Children learn through play. We know this as babies. We teach them through play, through role-playing with the home corner. But for some reason, as they move up the school, we take away that sense of play from them, and I still think that's really important, which is why I think it's important to use the consoles in the classroom and to engage them in play. However, there is a negative image of games that the media like to present, and as teachers and educationalists, we have to get over that when we're presenting it, the idea to parents, to governors, that our children aren't going to become overweight, violent members of society just by playing games. We use consoles at Oakdale because we believe they're inclusive and engaging, as I think the photo shows. So what do? We use the Dr. Karish Army brain training programme. We have 30 DS consoles across 350 children that they use every day. Now, each year group's timetable for an hour and a half a day, and what I ask the teachers is that they use it for a minimum of 3 times a week. They take their brain age once a week, and to enable ease of use, we've created year group data files. Those of you that know the Dr. Karish Army programme, you can only have 4 files on there. So what we did is we picked a generic age range for each year group. So when the children open up their console, they just click on their year group. So it's either year 3, year 4, year 5, year 6, and off they go. Naively, at the start of the programme, I picked out programmes that would be suitable for each year group. Year 3s won't want to do that, year 5s can do that. It's completely changed. The children have really got the learning in their hands now and are really going with this programme. And programmes that we didn't think that they would engage with, they have engaged with. Now, there's a picture of a maths lesson at our school. Yes, we've got the books out. Yes, we've got the paper and pencil methods, but they're also using the consoles, and they're using that to improve their mental math skills. Some of the comments from the children, this brain age thing is helping me to learn. It's fun to play. We realised from the beginning that they wanted to go home and learn their times table. Unlike maybe in a traditional classroom with your mental maths test, where they knew they were competing against other people. Now, for me at school, that was always terrible, because I was always really bad at maths. They're not competing against each other, they're competing against themselves. They want to get better for themselves. And they were actually looking forward to mental maths, and have we got the consoles in the classroom today? I believe it engages them, but I also believe it enhances their curriculum. It gives them a tool that they're using at home that they can engage with in the classroom in a completely different way. We also got them to write their own games when we first had the DS consoles to see if they could improve their writing, and it would inspire them to write more. And the children came up with a huge variety of games, both using word processing, by writing, they were levels, and it was all linking in. So as well as using the games, they were also then reviewing games and coming up with their own ideas. When we first had them, we did have to do some data. It was the first trial project in the borough. So we took some data, and what we did is we took the average age at the start and the average age at the finish. Now, as you can see, they all improved. There was obviously a bigger improvement in 5 and 6 and 3 and 4, but they all made some improvement. And the data hasn't stopped because this year my head teacher, who is just there, Linda Snow, is doing her MA in games-based learning. And she's trialling it with year 3s at the moment. And it's really interesting because we were in the staff room the other day and she came in and she'd seen them and she said they're making really good progress. And she'd actually mentioned something that I hadn't really recognised before, that when you use the Dr. Karish programme, you have to be really careful with your letter and number formation. So it was actually improving the children in year 3, our 7-year-olds, how to form their numbers and their letters. Because if they were quickly scribbling it, it wasn't recognising it and the results weren't being processed. So it was really improving the way that they form their letters. The big O, Ofsted. As teachers, Ofsted come in and we need to see what Ofsted would think. So we had Ofsted in March and I said, yeah, let them come in and observe me teaching with Nintendo DSs. Why not? What could possibly go wrong? It was part of our normal practice and I wanted Ofsted to see. We didn't know what the results were going to be and what Ofsted would think of this. We were really pleased when they wrote this in their final report. Used innovative technology to promote mental calculations. Pupils particularly relish the challenge to beat the teacher. When we do the times 20, I put my score up first and the children have to try and beat me or come within 5 seconds. It's not going dreadfully well this year because I've got a child in my class who's already down to 15 seconds on Friday. I'm running at about 18, so I think I need to practice a little bit more. At another school in the borough at Nightingale, they've got DSIs. And as you can see from the photo, it's the same thing, but a different tool. They're all using it to browse the web, to do research for a topic. Just because they're doing the internet doesn't mean they need the laptops out. They can be using their DSIs. Then in the summer, we left Dr. Karish. He was still going on a maths lesson, and we met Professor Layton. Those of you that don't know Professor Layton, it's a non-linear computer game on the DS, Professor Layton, the Curious Village, we used in the summer term. And what we did is we gave it to the year 6s, but we didn't give them one each this time. We gave them one in every group of 5 or 6 because we wanted to engage them in the cross-curriculum element of it. We had it going through literacy, maths, art, science, ICT and geography. They had a console for about 40 minutes a day, and then the rest of the time they did writing around it, maths work around it, talking around it, and we used it for about 2 weeks. Has anyone played the game Professor Layton, the Curious Village? Those of you that will have played it, we only got so far as when Simon collapses. So it's not very far. In a normal gameplay, it's probably about 30 minutes into the game. And that had been 2 weeks' worth of work. And this is some of the work they produced. We had the characters, Professor Layton and Luke up. Every time they saw something about the character that they found out or they liked, they had a post-it note, put it up. They had to write about the village of St. Mystère. They had to tell us what the golden apple is, which is the puzzle in Professor Layton. You know, what is the golden apple? What do they think it was? Then we took it on a step further and asked them, well, what would your Curious Village look like? Who would be in your Curious Village? What would the puzzles be in your Curious Village? So it was a real sort of, what can you do with it? And I think the results are quite astounding about what they came up with. Yep, every rule of PowerPoint broken by putting a huge slide of writing, but I really want to show the writing that comes out from just using a game in the classroom. This was from one of my year 6 girls in the summer term. She wasn't a level 5 writer at all, yet by using the game she was inspired to write, and I'm just going to read you one sentence from it, that she noticed that the clock on the tower has the wrong time. It's exactly 25 minutes fast, but having been told the nature of the village, it could be a challenging puzzle set up by Baron Reinhold himself. So she's using her prior knowledge there of a game, or a story on the game, to inform her writing. PictoChat. Now, I know some of you are twittering, and some of you might be twittering during this presentation. This time last year at the conference, we weren't given iTouches, we were given Nintendo DSs. And we were in the main hall of the conference, and I suddenly looked around me and realised that everyone had their DS out, thinking, it's a bit rude, what are they doing? What they were doing was engaging in PictoChat, and they were commenting on the writers then by using PictoChat. And I actually turned around to my ICT consultant, Anthony Evans, who's in the room, and said, oh, but they could write, we could use this in the classroom, and that's what we do. We use PictoChat now in literacy, but it can be used in lots of different ways. And I asked the children to join either chat room A or chat room B, and then I can move between the rooms. And I'll say to them, you know, Miss Hallybone came into the room. How did I come into the room? and they have to write down how I came in the room. Now, the benefit of this as a teacher is I'm not waiting for 30 hands in my classroom to go up and say, oh, yeah, miss, I've got a word, I've got a really good one. I can see it instantly. Also, the children can instantly see each other's ideas and comment on it. They're extending their vocabulary. They can use it in their own writing. So it's another resource that we use the DS consoles for. We also use it to promote good behaviour. We have golden time in our school every Friday. And instead of the consoles being programmed so each class has a turn, what we do is we ask the midday assistants and the dinner ladies to tell us which class that week has either lined up well, has been very good manners, and in the Friday afternoon assembly we present the DS consoles to that class. They go off and they have a play during golden time. And they really look forward to it on Friday. It's like, who's getting the box this week? So it's another positive that's come out from using the games. I also hold the DS Club twice a week for Year 3 and 4 and Year 5 and 6. I bring in my own games from home and the children just have a play. But for me as a teacher, it's really nice to talk to the children about what games they're using at home and why. And, you know, I say to them, well, do you think we can use that in the classroom? Or how would you use it in the classroom? So it's nice to engage with the children all the time and ask them, you know, well, what would you do? Come on, tell me, what would you like us to be doing now? It was also launched at the end of the summer term in the borough, the Redbridge Gaming Network, and there's our blog address there. And it's based on the premise that good teachers use good tools, and the borough funded to put 6 Nintendo Wiis into 6 schools, building up a library of over 20 games. And the reason we're doing this is to engage children into their writing, not just boys, but children, to immerse them into other worlds. We're hoping to build up, as I said, a range of titles, but remembering at all times that it's not about the game. The game itself, as I mentioned with Professor Layton, is not the main thing. What it is giving the children that stimulus to engage them and to enhance them in their writing and other cross-curricular skills. Another little project that we're starting at school is WeHab. I read about this on the internet, about how the Wii Fit board was being used to help people occupational therapy to improve their control and coordination after accidents. And I thought, well, what would happen to those children who have dyspraxic tendencies in school? How is it going to help them? So we're setting up just a very small group to begin with of 3 children who are going to use the Wii Fit board 3 times a week for 20 minutes each time to see if using another part of the technology will help improve their control coordination. As teachers, especially as Andy said, the world is changing. I think we need to think about, you know, what direction that we take as teachers. We have taken the direction of games-based learning, and for me, it's just a constant pleasure and excitement every time that I teach with the children using the consoles. It is only a part of my teaching, and we still use the traditional methods as well, but I think it's a big part. I believe it does all of those things, both for myself as a teacher and for the children as well in their learning. But instead of listening to me, I'm going to do a quick plug. My children, Children for School, are presenting at the Learners' Y Factor this afternoon. So why not go along and see why they like using the games? Those are my details. Thank you very much for listening.